Hey, my friend Calvin here. In my previous video, I reviewed Harvard Business School MBA program as well as HBS online courses. In today's video, I'd like to review MIT Sloan full-time MBA program. To those who don't know me, my name is Calvin. I'm very interested in education, business, and technology. My YouTube channel is focused on personal and professional growth. If you're interested, you should subscribe to my channel. Without further ado, let's get started. MIT is one of my favorite schools, with extremely satisfying career reports and huge reputation. I don't need to emphasize the fact that MIT Sloan is one of the top business schools that constantly ranked in the top 10 globally, whether it's Financial Times ranking or a QS ranking. If you're searching for this, I assume you already know that. And its reputation is gigantic. Let's start with its famous alumni. Then you'll know how famous this school is, if you didn't. If you were born before 2000, then I'm sure you have heard a lot about Kofi Annan, who was a huge figure on the world stage, especially when he was serving as Secretary General of the United Nations. He even received Nobel Peace Prize. That was back in 2001. Benjamin Netanyahu, the current Prime Minister of Israel, is another international prominent figure who I'm sure you have heard about these days if you read news or listen to news. I don't know how Israeli election works, but he has been serving in that position since 2009. Previously, he also served in that role from 1996 to 1999. Carly Fiorina, who was CEO of HP from 1999 to 2005. She was the first woman to lead a Fortune top 20 company. You may have seen her on TV. She was Ted Cruz's vice presidential running mate for Republican presidential primary in 2016. That was unsuccessful, and we all know what happened that year. Next one is John Wendell Thompson, who was chief executive of Virtue Instruments and a vice president at IBM, and is currently serving as the chairman of Microsoft since 2014. He was the one selected Satya Nadella as Microsoft CEO following Steve Ballmer's leave. Alan Roger Mullally. He was president and CEO of Ford until 2014. He led the company through 2008 financial crisis without getting government bailout funds. That's amazing. We can go on and on. There are many more. But you got the idea. We just talked about many famous alumni of the school, but we still have to look at their career reports to know how well their recent graduates are doing as a whole. I mean, statistically. We have class of 2019 data to look at. In terms of salary, it's a little bit lower than HBS, but significantly better compared to 99% of business schools out there on earth. The median base salary is about $140,000. 72% said that they received signing bonuses with a median of $30K. 95.7% said they received full-time offers within first 6 months after graduation, which is amazing. As you probably have predicted, the top 3 industries are consulting, technology, and finance. Out of 404 candidates, 36 candidates went to BCG, 19 to Bain, 15 to Google, 12 to McKinsey, 10 to Amazon, 7 to Amgen, and so on. That's really amazing. Basically, all the best companies on earth are their top employers. Before we move to our next topic, I'd like to ask you a small favor. That is, please destroy the like button below and smash the subscribe button if you haven't for YouTube algorithm. It helps me grow my channel and encourages me to produce more videos. Thank you very much. Now let's look at internship employment data of class of 2020. As you would expect, there are all the top companies as well, from the top consulting firms to the leading technology companies. Not surprisingly, 32 out of 409 candidates went to BCG for intern, 13 to Amazon, another 13 to Google, another 13 to McKinsey. Here's their internship data by industry. As you can see, the mean of consulting salary is the highest, $12,418. I believe this is monthly. Normally, MBA candidates do about 3 months interns. Now let's look at their class profile, which can tell us how smart they are. If you want to apply for Sloan MBA, then you probably want to know your chance of getting accepted. And a class profile can tell you that. This is class of 2022 profile. Obviously, they are very smart. 484 candidates with 5 years of work experience on average. 33% internationals, which is a little bit less than I expected. 38% women, which is also a little bit less than I thought it would be. Median undergrad GPA is about 3.54, lower than HBS is 3.7, and probably would be encouraging for many people to apply. Looking at this GPA, I think I have a moderate chance to get accepted if I apply. Median GMAT is 720, slightly less than HBS's 730. GMAT score ranges between 680 to 760. Their pre-MBA industries are mainly consulting, financial services, and technology. Together, these three took up more than 50%. Undergrad majors, it's interesting that engineering is the most popular, 33%. Normally, MBA candidates are mostly business, commerce, finance, and economic people. But in the case of Sloan, it's mostly engineering. Maybe it's because of MIT, a global technology hub. Now you know how smart they are. If you're thinking to apply for MIT Sloan, by now you should know how much chance you have. Thinking about their median base salary of $140,000, anyone who is receiving $70K salary a year right now, if get accepted by MIT Sloan, then going to the school is a great option because it's likely to going to double their salary after the 2 years at school. But let's look at the cost, because if the cost is too much, considering both time and money, then it probably is not a good choice. Then why would you bother? On one of their web pages, it says that for academic year 2020 to 2021, tuition, fees, books, and supplies together is about $82,000. Food, housing, transportation, and other personal expenses together is about $37,000. So in total, it costs about $120,800. On another page, it says that the total cost is about $136,000 for the same period of time. It's a $15,200 difference. Not small. We're going to use the larger number to be on the conservative end. Since this is a 2-year program, the total cost would be about $272,000, more than 1/4 of a million. That's a lot of money. I can buy dozens of acres of farming land with that. We didn't even include the opportunity cost, which would be different depending on what you would do for the 2 years if you choose not to go to school for an MBA. Let's say you would work in a $75K job during these 2 years if you don't go to school for an MBA. I think $75K is a typical job for MIT Sloan MBA candidates before the program. Then your opportunity cost is roughly about $150,000. That's before tax. So if we include the opportunity cost, it will be about $422,000. If you got a loan to cover some of your costs, including a tuition for the 2 years, then you got to pay some interest. So I would assume with that interest, eventually you would ended up paying about $450,000 over several years after graduation. It's a ballpark number, but it's getting closer to $500,000. A $500,000 education. That's stunning. Let's see if it's worth it. I know some people would say, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. My argument against these people are that education is always cheap, especially in this age of internet. And what makes the educational program so expensive is people are selling these programs as services and products. That made them so expensive. Instead of focusing on educating the entire next generation, they're selling these programs as products or services. Now let's look at how long does it take to actually break even the cost for this $500,000 education if you're earning $140,000 after graduation with 2% salary increase every year. It's going to take a little over 3 years. Actually, no, that's not true. We should actually exclude taxes from the opportunity cost as well as income after graduation, because you would spend after-tax money for your tuition, fees, and other related expenses. If we exclude all the taxes from the opportunity cost, a ballpark number for the total cost would be about $410,000. That's with 48% taxes for the opportunity cost, like we do here in Ontario, Canada. I'm going to use Ontario, Canada in my calculation as an example, but other places are not going to be very different from this. With that, a ballpark number for your after-tax income after graduation is about $100,000 for a $140,000 salary, which is the median base income for MIT Sloan MBA graduates. So it's going to cost actually a little over 4 years to break even for the costs, including the opportunity cost of your 2-year education at MIT MBA program. However, if we include what we would have learned during these 4 years, if we don't go to MIT Sloan for an MBA, then the catch-up year would be a lot later. Here's a graph illustration that I created. It helps you understand. These two lines indicates what I call accumulative income after tax. It's basically your net worth under two cases. The orange one is when you pursue Sloan MIT. The blue one is when you don't pursue MIT at all. As you can see, with my assumption of 2% salary rise every year in either case, it takes about 10 years after you graduated from Sloan MBA program. Your net worth would finally catch up that of when you don't go to MBA. Of course, if you go to Sloan MBA, you'll likely be spending more on daily things than you would probably do without MBA, because all of your friends are managers, executives who have more expensive tastes, like on food and clothing. So the catch-up year is likely later than 10 years after graduation. Plus, if you become a senior manager or VP after your graduation, you become busier than you would without MBA. Then you have less time to start a side hustle, a side project that can potentially help you earn more income. You can do these things without an MBA degree. Degree itself is great to have. I myself have one. It's a PhD degree. But I think what's more important is the knowledge and the skills that you learned along the way, and how you apply these skills and knowledge and solve practical problems to create values for your audience and readers and your customers in exchange for value. That's what I think is more important. There are a whole bunch of Amazon part-time sellers who are making 5 figures or more on top of their full-time job. There are a whole bunch of YouTubers, vloggers, other content creators who are making more than $500,000 a year, just applying the skills that they have probably learned from internet or other places in creative ways. One really don't need a degree to achieve his financial dream, if that's his dream. I know some people would say that MBA is more about networking. I'm not interested in money. I'm looking for impact. Then I would stop saying anything there and silently disagree. For me, it would be great if I can get some financial assistance while I am pursuing an MBA at a top business school like Sloan. But if the financial assistance is not significant enough to justify the cost, like I talked before, then I probably would be better off by just investing these cash into index stocks like S&P 500, which returned about 9% every year on average in the past a few decades. I think in general, the returns of these educational programs, especially those expensive programs like MBA, Master of Finance, they're less and less able to justify the rapidly growing cost, and they become more and more unfriendly to kids from middle class, like me, and become more and more exclusive to kids from financially stronger families, the top 3 to 5% wealthy families, many of which are international. In economic terms, it's called a moat, a competitive edge, or a VIP that normal people can't afford. So I feel like there's a big hole growing and growing between those socio-economically different groups, the wealth gap. Medical school and law schools are the same as the top MBA schools in many aspects, I think. Look at these doctors and lawyers who are more vloggers than doctors and lawyers, because they make many dozen times more by creating contents on the internet than by fixing broken legs in hospital or arguing fiercely in courthouse. So it's a strange time where these traditional career paths are becoming less and less rewarding, at least financially, than those new and emerging ones. Only who create timely values are rewarded incredibly. Alright, that's it for today. I hope you have learned something new and got some information to help you make your financial, educational, and career decisions. In my next video, I'd like to talk about MIT Sloan Master of Business Analytics, which is also one of my favorite programs. If you're interested in hearing about it, then you should subscribe to my channel and turn on that notification bell. That way you won't miss it. Thank you very much. Don't forget to destroy the like button below and smash the subscribe button if you haven't for YouTube algorithm. As always, see you next time.